A lot of things happen in the kitchen. A lot of dialogue. A lot of great food, but you couldn't be in the kitchen too long because either you're helping or you're in the way. So I always went to, I'm in the way. See you later. Tell me when it's done.
My grandmother used to always have something cooking on the back of the stove because her house was always welcome to everyone. And she would always say, "Oh, are you hungry? Have something to eat."
A lot of Portuguese food at the table, plenty of food. We'd always have some kale soup, you'd have some manchup, some canja, and a lot of rabbit, a lot of fish. I can't stand fish to this day. We had too much fish.
Every house had, not a different dish, they all made the same dishes, but what my grandmother made, or what Nana Bibi made, what Titi Mary made, always tasted the same, but slightly different because their pinch of paprika, or their pinch of salt, or their pinch of pepper was just that different. But you know what? There was never, the pots were always empty. You know what I mean? So no one went away hungry, that's for sure.
Probably because it was the most inexpensive to prepare, jagasita or jag, which is basically rice and beans with wonderful variations like linguiça and kale.
Paprika gives it its color, reddish color. Onions, I use crushed garlic.
So my mom made it with lima beans. My mother-in-law made it with shell beans. And even today, if you go to the Cape Verdean festivals, you can probably have a dozen types of jag or jagasita, all of them with whether it's with peas or whether it's with lima beans and even with summer squash.
I make jag, which is a 45-minute dish from soup to nuts, start to finish.
My mother made canja, which is like a chicken and rice, celery and onion, which is also very good on a cold winter's day.
The chicken's very tender, falls right off the bone. It's very good. I mean, that's usually my favorite.
They call that gufung. Maybe not like a donut, but more like fried dough. I mean, you'll see, resemble in the carnivals and whatnot of the fried dough series, you'll see that. It's got a little bit different taste when they're using the cornmeal. Find them to be sweet. Deep fried, with butter on them, very good.
Manchup. Some people call it cachupa, but it's basically the same, made with samp, lima beans. Back in traditional manchupa was made with pig's feet many, many years ago.
Manchup is an all-day affair, and I didn't have the patience for that. And sometimes they use pig's feet in there. Augie used to make my manchup. He goes, "Don't worry, I'm giving you ham hocks. I know how you feel about pig's feet." Yeah, I have an aversion to pig's feet.
It's slow cooked. Some of the beans have to be, my father had a method of cooking one of the lima beans are very hard when you get them out of the package. My father actually cooked them 3 times. He would cook them, let them cool down, cook them, let them cool down, and then they ended up in the master pot.
I can make the muncho, but it never comes out the same. You can't just make a little bit because it's the beans and the samp and the meats and the.
I didn't like manchoop. Manchoop was a little beanie. I don't know. I didn't like it too much.
I used to make manchoop, but that's one of those things, like you can't make a small quantity of it. You have to make a lot of it. So that's my Aunt Viola. That's her department. So she makes a pot of manchoop, and you just show up over there with a pot or a container, and she fills it up.
Pots were passed down from family to family because they were seasoned. You know what I mean? So if someone handed you down a pot, that was like a badge of honor.
The pot is a cast iron pot, and it's 13.5 quarts is what my father. He always ended up in that. He would start out in smaller bowls, smaller pots. But by the time he got through adding this and adding that and throw a little of this in and that in, he ended up in the biggest pot that we had in the house, which he could not lift up, had to be put on the stove for him. He could not take it off the stove. He couldn't lift it empty, and so it never left the stove until he baled everything out of it into smaller bowls, and then somebody that could pick it up would take it and wash it.
It would just simmer all week. So it would be a pot just cooked on low and slow. It was the Cape Verdean crock pot. Whatever you had that week, if there was leftovers, they went in the pot. You know? So at the end of the week, it was like a Cape Verdean goulash almost. But it always tasted different, but it always tasted great.
Especially in the Cape Verdean community. The first thing you do is when you enter a Cape Verdean house is that you must eat. It's almost like an insult. You had to eat. So there was nobody starving in the Cape Verdean community that I know of.